Doable.
Topher.
10:42.
This morning, October 4th, at 6:08 a.m., marks the retirement of Lieutenant Greg Bean after 25 years of distinguished service to the Stevens Point Police Department. Your decisive leadership and willingness to assist without hesitation under all circumstances has earned you the respect and admiration of all those who have had the privilege to work beside you. Lieutenant Greg Bean, this is your final 42, and your tour of duty is now complete. We wish you well in your retirement and all your future endeavors. You will be missed.
Good morning.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know me, I'm Assistant Chief Micro Chair. I'll be emceeing the event here today. I'd like to thank everybody for coming for Greg's special day for his retirement party. Special thanks to our PFC member that's here today, and the mayor and the sheriff and the chief from Clover, the officers from UWSP, and our retirees. Thanks for coming on this special day. Greg started at the PD August 25th of 1997. These are some of the things that were happening in our country and around the world. Here's some of the #1 songs from 1997. We had Mariah Carey with Honey. We had Elton John, Candle in the Wind. Spice Girls, Wannabe. Hanson, Mbop. Notorious B.I.G., Mo Money, Mo Problems. And Greg's personal favorite from Puff Daddy, which was Can't Nobody Hold Me Down. The president was Bill Clinton. Gas prices were $1.29. Stamps were 32 cents. Interest rates on homes were 7.5%. The top movies were Liar Liar, Titanic, Men in Black, Good Will Hunting, and Greg's personal favorite, Boogie Nights. The top TV shows were Seinfeld, ER, Friends, and Veronica's Closet. Remember that one? Anybody? No? Some major events were Princess Diana had died in a car accident. Tiger Woods was the youngest golfer to win the Masters. Microsoft was declared the world's most valuable company at $261 billion. And Mike Tyson bit Evander Holyfield's ear during a boxing match. And the most important thing that happened in 1997, besides hiring Greg Bean, was Kylie Jenner was born, which, importantly, that was one of Greg's favorite shows, was Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Greg's starting pay in 1997 was $15.47 an hour. By January of the next year, 1998, he was up to $16.01. Greg is highly trained in very specialized areas of the department. Over his career, he held many titles. Some of those were patrol officer, reserve shift supervisor, SWAT team member, assistant team leader of the SWAT team, drug detective, and investigation bureau supervisor, patrol sergeant, training sergeant, crisis intervention stress management coordinator, and patrol lieutenant. Some of the training that Greg had attended over his career are FTO, which is field training officer, FTO supervisor, SWAT, advanced SWAT, less lethal, non-lethal. He was an instructor in those. First line supervisor, professional supervisor development. He went to a 2-week basic narcotics and dangerous drug course. Practical applications of surveillance, drug investigation school, DNA and crime scene management, emergency management, CIT, and assisting individuals in crisis, and group crisis intervention and LPO. So very highly trained over the years. During Greg's career, he had numerous positive letters and commendations in his file. Here are some of the highlights that I picked through his personnel file. On November 11th, 1998, Officer Bean, along with other officers, were dispatched to Anchor Bank at 640 Division Street for a complaint of an armed man in a vehicle. Sergeant Bean and other officers determined there was an armed subject in a vehicle with 2 loaded handguns. This subject had fantasized about shooting a bank teller and also considered killing an employee of a nearby business. Sergeant Bean and others received a letter of commendation for safely and professionally taking that suspect into custody. That was Jeffrey Nick, who we still deal with to this day.
It was him.
December of 1998, it was a good year for Greg.
Yep.
A lady was paying a ticket at the records window that Greg had given during an accident, and the lady wanted to pass on that Sergeant Bean was very professional and wanted to thank him for being courteous. It's one thing to get a compliment if you write somebody a warning, but here he had given this lady a ticket and she still had really good things to say. That was Nancy Dorier. If you remember that. On June 17th, 2006, Detective Bean, along with other detectives, were given a letter of commendation for successfully prosecuting Salah Ali Alamoussi. Say that 10 times fast. For the homicide death of Adam Wiesenecker. This investigation was an overdose death, and due to the diligence and dedication of Detective Bean and the other detectives following up on tips, led to a source of the cocaine that ended up killing the victim. Physical evidence, witness statements, and statements from the suspect were enough to present an airtight case, and the suspect pleaded guilty. And that was the first time that we had a guilty plea for first-degree reckless homicide in Portage County. So it was a big case. On March 4th, 2014, Sergeant Bean, along with other officers, were dispatched to 1900 Monroe Street for a report of a structure fire with entrapment. Upon arrival, officers observed smoke and flames coming from the building. Sergeant Bean and other officers located a confused tenant that refused to leave his apartment. Due to the fire consuming the building, officers had no choice but to force entry to save the man. Sergeant Bean and the other officers were authorized recipients of the Award of Valor for their actions in saving the people in that building that day. And the last thing that I would like to leave you with is reading a letter that's in Sergeant Bean's personnel file that he received February of 2007. It says, "Dear Sergeant Bean, I don't know if you remember me, but I'll never forget you and the way you handled my arrest in February of 2007. In spite of the seriousness of the crime I had committed, you seemed sincerely concerned if I was going to be all right after you left my home. You were patient and kind to me, and I just wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart that the respect I felt you showed me at that horrible time of my life was and is greatly appreciated." And that was from Judy Guzman. So I think this letter is a great example of how Greg handled himself over the course of his career. And it's a good reminder to all of us still in the profession that even though we have to make some hard decisions and maybe take away some people's freedoms, if you do so professionally and with respect, that you can still, have an impact and get a letter like that maybe someday. So I'd like to congratulate Greg on his retirement and his future adventures. And I would like to call up Mayor Wiese to make some statements.
I had prepared some statements, but after the exit interview yesterday, I'm kidding. All I could picture is AC Rotier going through all this stuff, Googling 1997 and getting into the I'm sure he's getting into it. Greg, what can people say after 29 years? What AC Rotier was telling people is just a small fraction of that. I've had the pleasure of knowing you, your most of your extended family for quite some time. And the one thing that I can absolutely say about you is every single decision you made, everything you did was for the betterment of the department. And the Stevens Point Police Department owes you a debt that can't be repaid for all of the good things that you have done, all of the improvements that you've made. And the citizens of Stevens Point also owe you a debt that, again, can never be repaid. When AC Rotier was talking about treating people with respect, that's the impression I got from every dealing that you had. And the citizens of Stevens Point know that. So on behalf of the Stevens Point Police and Fire Commission, the city offices here at Stevens Point, and on behalf of the citizens, thank you for your dedicated years of service, and we wish you nothing but the best.
I'm gonna move your glasses over.
Yeah, that's okay, thanks.
All right, just to reiterate what Assistant Chief Rotier said, I want to thank everybody for coming to this. It is a true celebration for Greg. He's put a lot of years in the law enforcement profession and has done an incredibly professional job. As you know, though, it can be hard for a cop to know when it's time to retire, especially when they still love the job. How do you know when it's time? The only foot pursuit you engage in is never-ending quest for more comfortable inserts for your aching feet. Dispatch gives you a hot call, and you tell them you're at the gas pumps, hoping they'll reassign it. Instead, dispatch reminds you, this is the third time today you have claimed to have been at the pumps, and you sincerely wonder, really? You notice the amount on your on-duty dinner check is lower than expected, so you ask the waitress, did you give me a cop's discount? Your waitress replies, nope, I gave you a senior discount. Oh. Someone asks you, you're looking chipper today. What put the color back in your cheeks? And you respond, shingles. You have to take 3 sets of eyeglasses to the range. You use your prescription glasses if you want to make out faces, bifocals if you want to make out the front sights, and readers if you want to make out the serial number on your clock. That's so true. Also at range, you tell your instructor, if you make me shoot from a kneeling or prone position, I can get down there, but once I do, I'm not getting back up. Your perfect shift is one where you exit your squad only 6 times, once for supper, and then 5 times for PR stops. PR has nothing to do with community policing, though. It stands for prostate relief. But seriously, Lieutenant Bean, you've been an integral part of our department and the community since taking your oath of office on August 25th of 1997. I have been incredibly lucky to have worked closely with you and know your experience, your dedication, and your contributions to this profession are going to be hard to replace and greatly missed. It is difficult, if not impossible, to sum up your achievements over the past 25 years of dedicated service. Today is a happy and a sad day for us here at the city. It's happy in the fact that we all know when someone retires, they have achieved something in their life that they have worked so hard for. But it is also a sad day because we're all going to miss you, Greg. I would like to thank you, Greg, for your years of dedicated service to the city of Stevens Point, to the Stevens Point Police Department, and the law enforcement profession. Me and you have had some great times, and I'm truly blessed to have worked so closely with you, especially in the investigation bureau. We've had a lot of adventures in there.
I'll bring that up later.
Yeah, we want to talk about that now. We've seen the worst in people, we've seen the best in people, but through everything, you've always been a rock and someone that I could count on for support. Greg, you are one of the toughest SOBs that I've had the pleasure of working with, but you're also one of the most compassionate people I've ever known, especially when there's a job involved. With your retirement, I'm guessing that Mueller and the fire department are definitely going to miss all your pranks, and you can tell them all the stuff you've done to them over the years now that you retired. You have shown dedication to the badge and a desire to protect all. That professionalism has helped the entire community, and I wish you the very best as you retire and begin the new phase of your life. We'll take it from here. You want to come up here? Chris, you want to come up too? As you're well aware, what we do on retirements is we end up flying the flag, and it flew over the department and the city for the last 24 hours. This is being dedicated to you in honor of your service, not just for the 25 years here at the Stevens Point Police Department, but also the 29 years in law enforcement. So I'm giving you this. Thank you very much for that. Then, this is a retirement badge you carry with you. And then after all of this, we started this new thing. Lieutenant Mueller actually started. We have pictures of as many officers as we can out in the hallway. And when you retire, you actually turn a black and white picture, a color picture into black and white. So after this, we're going to actually head over there and you'll be doing that as well. The other thing is, at the end of someone, when they retire, at the end of their career, we do a 1042 call. And that's just letting the radio people and everybody else in the city know that you're done. You're done with your shift. After Greg's done talking, we already did that on the day he retired at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I do have a recording of it. And so we will play that as soon as Greg is done talking to everybody. And Christy's done with her speech as well.
Should have sat in the back. I'm prepared.
Before I start, I just have to say the picture on the left looks really bad because of the lighting. Where's Brenda? My oldest sister told me earlier, she's looking at the picture on the left and she's like, oh, are there two people having some type of party today? But anyway, again, cheaters for us old people. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Bob, for your very kind words. Thank you, everybody, for coming here today. As most people know, I really don't like standing in front of groups of people and talking, but we'll make this as quick as we can. I'm not going to do the 30 minutes that Bob asked me to do. Get you guys out of here quicker. The other thing, in case Bob or anybody else is worried, like usual, I will keep everything in PG or G. Try my hardest. We'll see how it goes. It may sound cliche for those of us that have been here for a long time or those that have already retired, but I can say that the last 29 plus years have absolutely flown by. I said earlier, as I was driving around trying to think of what I would say today, in my mind, everything sounded so good and it was so easy to come up with things to say. And then when I put it to paper, I thought, man, this sounds kind of cheesy, but we'll give it a shot. A couple months ago, I had a guy that was doing a ride along with me, and one of the first things he said was, well, tell me some funny stories that you've had or funny calls that you've gone on. And I'm like, thought about it for a little bit, and I'm like, there really isn't anything funny. We deal with the bad stuff. People don't have parties and then say, hey, you're having such a good time, let's call the cops and see if they want to come over and have some fun with us. It just doesn't happen. So I thought about it, and I told him, I said, the fun times here at work, those are for me, those aren't for you. I see a couple of guys from the fire department. I will tell you, one of the things that made me feel the best in my 30 years was all the times that I could get to a fire before you guys put it out. I haven't done it yet, but one of the things I'm going to do when we leave here today is go buy a fire extinguisher and put it in my truck, so if I happen to be driving around town and I find a fire,
Some have rebuilt their building double the size thanks to you guys using fire extinguishers.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And I could go on and on, I guess, but the gist of my thing is it's really not the job that I'm going to miss, it's the people. I don't know how many people, firefighters, police officers, deputies, dispatchers, records, the list goes on and on. I think if I counted on the board right, I've worked with 90-ish officers just here over the last 25 years. And then, like I say, throw in records and dispatchers and everybody. I mean, it's hundreds and hundreds of people. Alderman, I think I saw you a couple weeks ago. I was out on a call with the county, and if I heard right, you guys are now losing your best backup officer or something like that, right? I will say that was some of the fun times too. Anything to get out of the city and get out in the county and help them with something. I love doing that. I guess the last things is the thank yous that are to be given. The kids. The kids for making being a parent easy. Good kids, good adults. I couldn't ask for better ones. Jake, I'll single you out. Very happy and proud when you got hired as a deputy. I'll be even happier when you're done. Mom and sisters, for the worry, the angst, the missed events over 30 years. The funny line is, now that I get to go to all the family events, you'll see how fun they can really be. And last but not least, Christy. I gotta remember exactly what I put here. Not only making me a better person, but a better officer. For being there in the good times and bad. Your support, advice, encouragement, and so much more have been remarkable and appreciated more than you ever know. So, I think I've touched on everything.
Thank you for taking care of this.
You're welcome. Again, the big thing at the end is the people, and that's what I'm going to miss the most. I'm hoping to not retire and run away and never come back. I'm hoping to sneak in. My key fob still work today, so I'm gonna keep my mask until they so, again, I just want to thank everybody for coming here. I apologize for getting the frosting on the cake. I never really thought much about it, and I said I was told it looks a little weird. So hopefully it may not look the best, but hopefully it tastes good. So again, thank you everybody for coming.